National Assembly Committee on Steel Development has criticized the 2024 budget of the Ministry of Steel Development for alleged ghost projects, inflated contracts, and legal violations. Co-chairman Zainab Gimba was called for a forensic audit and stricter oversight in 2025, citing inefficiencies and inadequate capital investment. The committee questioned a fresh audit of Ajaokuta Steel despite 3 prior reports, as Minister Shuaibu Aldu justified it to align with current realities and secure $2 billion for the plant's revival. Lawmakers demanded better accountability and reforms to boost Nigeria's steel sector. Well, joining us now for a conversation about cases of budget padding and the impact on the nation's well-being as the National Assembly frowns on ghost projects in steel ministries' 2025 budget is Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale. Good afternoon, Mr. Sobowale. Many thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Great.
Right.
Another case of budget padding. What's your initial reaction regarding this case?
It's an old story. And it's a pity that you are getting used to a pejorative word. Padding is a pejorative, almost illegal, dishonest thing. But it has become the norm. And if you see this Ministry of Steel Development investigation, should we say it's not even investigation, it's just the budget. But the legislators have reached so many conclusions from that budget. No ministry will put forward a budget that it cannot defend. And budget, assessment and budget vetting, it's not something to be done on the pages of newspaper. There's a lot of sensationalism in what that committee chairman has said, and it's not fair to the ministry. The word budget was, I think, first used by Obasanjo, and he said these legislators are padding the budget. They want their own constituency expenditure to be added. Now, see, they say what is good for the goose is good for the gander. You see, they are vetting these budget allocations to the ministries almost out of existence. But when at the end of the day, they pad it, they put their own in, and put the gun to the head of the executive, that is what they are approving. Because constitutionally, it is their duty. You see, it is not a level playing field. You don't assess a ministry just on the strength of the budget it has presented. It is the ministry that knows what is on the ground and what it needs. Okay, I think about last week, the budget of the Ministry of Minerals, solid minerals, they sent it back, telling them to go and add to it, that it does not befit the sort of expansion we expect from the solid minerals sector, especially when the economy is expected to diversify. But these are things that I think should be held in-house, not sensationalized. There's a lot of sensationalism going on there. And given the reputation of these legislators, in that they will pad the budget ultimately, it seems as if they are getting more Catholic than the Pope. Get me? And I see some hypocrisy there. It's not on. Let the ministries do their job, call them to other, but you can't be talking of ghost workers and things like that when you have not even had an inquiry on the issue. Okay. That's my take for now.
Okay, well, I mean, if we're to get into the detail of it, 57.2% of the budget is on recurrent expenditure, which means salaries and so forth. So you're now getting, just over 40% for capital expenditure projects, for capital projects, which is, people are saying that this is strange that you'll be spending more on paying salaries in a ministry that is driven by projects. And this is also under the same category as conversations around the fact that Ajaokuta Steel has swallowed 39.8 billion naira in salaries in the past 10 years. In this budget, it's 6 billion that's budgeted for salaries for Ajaokuta Steel. So without going too far, we all know there's nothing going on at Ajaokuta Steel. So why are we still approving huge 6 billion worth of salaries for a steel factory that we know is moribund?
You see, just last week, a senator in the Senate criticized the budget as devoting large sums to running costs as against a capital budget, which will provide infrastructure and social goods that everybody will benefit from, not just a few set of people. You see, I'm not surprised at all that. That is part of governance. You see, Ajaokuta has been a drain pipe for a long time, but it is not something we should give up. It's just like the refineries. Though they have not worked for a long time, and when we are thought we will give up, they say two are working. You get me? Because if you don't have a solid steel industry, you can't do industrialization. You will be importing for the rest. But so in the
meantime, should we be paying salaries?
That is wrong. But that is a Nigerian phenomenon. We wanted a paper mill at Iwokwi. You get me? We spent a lot, but they built fantastic staff quarters first. And the trees, you see, the trees must be at a certain age when they can be used for paper. But why they are building quarters and putting people in staff quarters, the trees outgrew the stage at which they can be used for paper. You see, it's unbelievable. It is also the same thing in the agric industry. You give loans to farmers, not when they can use it to feed chicken and so on, and reap the federal bread. And when the loans go bad, the poor farmer left handling the can. So it's a clear case of inefficiency and poor accountability and poor transparency. So it is a Nigerian phenomenon. So we have to take each case as it comes. It's a good duty that the legislators are doing. But they say who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
Oh, Mr. Sobowale, I like how you explained that this is a Nigerian phenomenon, even though it's negative, very negative. But we've seen, when we see cases of budget padding in or other countries, we've seen that it leads sometimes to resignations. But why do we seem to lack similar consequences in Nigeria when it comes to matters of this nature?
Look, there's nowhere that people do not negotiate on their bills or their interests. Even in the US, that is what is done. There are some issues, the Democrats, and they will put down their assets and say, okay, let us build this infrastructure here. Provided you allow me to do this in my state, they sort it out. That is the horse trading. You get me? But what you are talking about here is padding, and what people it's not that they don't want legislators to negotiate with each other on what bills to pass, because that is the essence of passing bills anyway. If everybody comes for its own interest, and then you do some horse trading, and you get it through. So it's not the whole of it that is negative, as long as the money is used for what it is projected for. There's nothing wrong with that. But you see, the padding has a negative connotation. But right now, it is the ministries that are being rebuked sensationally in the media. When the final budget is passed to the executive, and the executive feels it's more than what it has sent to them, another round of negotiations will ensue. It is the legislative process, and it is the budgeting process at play. But you see, the horse trading here, you see, Obasanjo once said, after he left office on a visit to Buhari, that the legislature is filled up with criminals, armed robbers, and all that. So they asked him, what's the solution? He said, until you can elect people of integrity and so on. So you see that it is a work in progress. That will not be solved in one day. Right.
All right. So where do we go from here? Because, this over the past few days, we've been watching the American Senate grilling some of the nominees for the incoming administration. And many of us have watched in awe and just said, wow, this is such a thorough and in-depth process, And so as we've seen our own senators now, they've become vigilant. The process we're seeing now of the various MDAs coming to defend their budgets is commendable because a lot of information is coming out of it. But I understand your perspective. You're saying that, well, it's not good enough because they themselves are not completely innocent and in the outcome. So what's the solution? Because one would have thought that this is a breath of fresh air, that we are seeing them grilling each ministry and asking for clarity on each of the line items. So
it is not a breath of fresh air.
Okay.
They do this annually. And you see, you mentioned the US. You see, you can't compare us with what is going on there. You see, the appointees that Trump put forward, they are grilling them on their love life, their beer drinking and things. But when it comes to our own, they say, take a bow. You see the difference now? They take a bow. You see, they are the people we are copying. But they have gone far in terms of accountability and transparency and even morals. They're telling the person for Minister of Defense, so many positions, that you are not morally qualified to hold this position. You have no integrity and so on. And they will vote at the committee. That's vetting, real vetting. The same thing they do with their own budgeting. So, if you want to have a public office, you should have no skeleton in your cupboard or else to be in Broad Street, So we are aspiring to get there. But don't forget what I said, Obasanjo just said. So, and we ask our ministers to take a bow. And if you are doing budgeting, you can't expect us to match the same standard. But this is work in progress and the goal to be achieved.
I hope we achieve it sooner rather than later. Thank you so much for your analysis, Mr. Dayo Sobowale, a rising journalist. Thank you so much.